from École Polytechnique. You already heard him this morning, and you heard him a bit more.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to present this work. So it is based on joint works with Maxime Rangeau, a new PhD student, and also colleagues from Polytechnique, Jordi Baloza and Dayan Kim about solar modeling. Okay, so in fact there will be two parts in my presentation. One on really on solar modeling and one on stochastic control for the management of microgrid. Okay, so it's not related too much to traditional financial mathematics, but there are at some point there are some stochastic equation, nonlinear stochastic equation we like to solve, and it may be related to some pricing issue, but applied to energy. Okay, so the first part will be on this modeling part, and the second part of the talk will be about solving Makin stochastic control problem. Okay, so what is the context? You know the context a bit is that now you can trade, if you are a producer of energy, you can trade yourself the energy, sell the energy to your neighbor, and so on. And so there are some big questions about how to regulate these new markets, how to optimize the way we can produce and consume energy. And so this is a typical model we like to investigate. So this is typically a smart building or a building equipped with production units in renewable energy. So here this is solar energy. So you have some solar panels here. You can this energy you can store it in a battery, okay, when you wish. You are connected to the public grid here. So in case you wish, also you can use the electricity from the public grid. And what you like to do is, in a way, take advantage of this system, your autonomous production plus autonomous storage, just to have some benefit in the system. So you like to machine learning, so learn the best strategy to use your energy and so on. Okay, so how do you describe the system in more details? In fact, this is a bit complex. So here I'm just going to list the main features to monitor in a way. The state variables of the system are the following. So I'm going to denote by P grid, meaning the power taken from the public grid. So it corresponds to that amount of power here. So we're systematically going to assume this is positive. So in a way, in fact, the amount of energy we produce is not enough for our own consumption. So we need to have another provider for the electricity. We are going to monitor the state of charge of the battery by this variable here. And if you want to monitor cleverly and to manage cleverly the system, you need to account for some external variables like weather variables, okay, according to the temperature, the outside temperature, the inside temperature, and so on. And also you like to find ways to monitor or to control the building in a smart way. So ideally, you'd like to control the ventilation, heating system, and so on. Here, I'm not going to enter in this part, but I will show you at the end an example where, a real example, where the aim is to indeed monitor and control all these consumption units. Okay, so here this is just the description of the system. Now there's some random quantities. So the randomness comes from two parts. First, the amount of energy you're going to produce. Okay, so this is these solar panels, this one from the solar panels, okay? And so this is random because this is connected to the amount of irradiance you can collect from the panels. And also, you don't know in advance exactly your consumption in the building. So this part is perhaps more standard, but and the variables we like to control here are going to insist mainly on the battery term. So I'd like to essentially optimize the use of that system here. I'm not going to optimize the lighting, and so on. And what is the role of the battery? This is just to, we're going to use it as a buffer. So that is when we cannot produce any energy from the sun. Then we're going to take the energy, the power from the battery, and when we can produce, of course, much energy with the solar panel, we're going to store the energy. And so, and once stored, you're going to use it later in the day. Okay, so this is really like a buffer for the energy you're going to consume and produce. Okay. Okay, so this is just the picture of the system. Now you have to choose, in a way, your business model or the criterion you'd like to optimize. So there are many, so I just list 2 of them. Typically, you like to, one possibility could be you like to store the electricity you're going to produce with your panels and then just sell the electricity when the prices are very high. This is one possibility, okay. Why not? But here we're going to investigate another economic model corresponding to the case where the grid manager would like to put some incentive for you just to for you to be a good consumer, in the sense that the amount of energy you ask on the public grid is very stable or is very predictable. Okay? So in a way, I'd like to, as a grid manager, I'd like you consumer, to ask me electricity with a certain amount which is really stable over the day, or I can know the amount in advance, in a way. So for me, the incentive as a grid manager is to, in fact, better size my production units in order to avoid waste of energy, typically. So it will be a benefit for me if I know in advance your consumption. And perhaps for the consumer, then, in exchange of having very regular consumption, I could have access to the public grid with a very low price, typically. Okay. So this is a different model. So in fact, this is we like to investigate this choice. Okay. So as a consequence of this choice, in fact, we can write optimization criterion. So it could take that form. I will give a more general form later, but it could take that form. So typically, here I'd like to optimize over 1 day. So 1 day, why? Because in practice, either I'm going to use deterministic control. This is what people are doing currently. So either I'd like to use, to account for for online information or stochastic models. So typically, I like to account for the weather forecast, and I know that it's very hard to produce a reliable weather forecast more than 1 day in advance. Okay. So here, when I look at that building, I like to command my battery, pilot this the storage process, but using some prediction I'm going to collect 1 day in advance. Okay, so I could optimize over 1 year, but of course it's not very meaningful if I want to incorporate some weather conditions. So here I'm going to optimize over 1 day. I'm going to penalize the power from the public grid. Okay, so that's why I have here a variance term. Okay, the factor could depend on time, so I could put more constraints, more penalization at the business hour, in a way. I'd like to also account for the edging effect. So when I'm using much the power from the battery, I'm going to penalize this. Okay. And in last term corresponds to keeping the battery at a medium level. Okay, so this is just 1/2, but you can have a curve, and you like the battery, the state of charge of the battery, to remain almost around that given curve. So in fact, the criterion we're going to consider is a mix of of these 3 terms. So the fluctuation on the public grid, I'd like to minimize in a way. The edging effect of the battery, plus I'd like to have a state of charge at a medium level. Okay. Okay, and I'd like to optimize over the control. I've not specified so far what is the control, but you can imagine this is the way I'm going to charge or discharge the battery here. So what is, so this is not a standard stochastic control problems, because here I'm not going to optimize expected reward or minimize expected cost, but in fact I'd like to optimize something which is related to the distribution of the system. So this is what we call Makin type stochastic control problems. So in fact the distribution of the systems enters in the criterion I'd like to minimize here, which is the new part. Yes?
Just a question.
Yes.
Is that final term some kind of regularization term, or is it?
We can, yes, you can put something else here. Typically, you could put later I'm going to ask the final at the end of the day. The state of charge is at 1/2 typically. Okay, so I could add something at the end. You can imagine that the battery is half filled at the beginning of the day, and you want to retrieve this at the end of the day.
So that's to stabilize it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this, with the variance criterion, in fact, this is a quite, this problem has been, this kind of problem has been solved and studied in the literature, typically by Yongmin Yang in SIAM control and optimization recently. But in case where the dynamics of all the state variables are linear, respect the noise and so on. So possibly here we get to investigate more general model. And also there's something else here. There's some recent paper by Carmona de la Rue and co-authors about these Makin stochastic control problems. But in their papers, they don't consider the case where the distribution on the control is also part of the criterion. So they just optimize the distribution of the system and not the distribution of the system and the control. And here, in that case, we have also the control entering in the distribution, the control distribution entering in the criterion. Okay, so here, first step, the optimization criterion, something related to distribution of system. Okay. Second step is to model all the uncertain variables. So here, this is the balance equation. So between what I need, my consumption, my power, the power I need for my consumption, can be decomposed in many in different parts. I'm not going to enter much in that decomposition. I'm doing just to consider that I'm going to aggregate all these needs in power just to give the P-cons here. And usually, this part equals standard because you just have to monitor the system, just collect the data, and then you like to put a stochastic model on this. So here, typically, you see there's some spikes in the morning. When you enter in your building, you see this is an office building. So at 9 in the morning, you turn on the heating system and so on. So you can model this with jump process and so on and so on. So this part is not, it's quite standard, in fact. So I'm not going to enter much in that part of modeling. But you just have to remember that here, for this need for power, we likely going to use some jump processes with a mean reversion feature. Okay, for the power balance, now we can decompose also the power we can rely on by the power coming from the battery, the natural power coming from the sun, so with solar panels contribution, and also the power coming from the public grid. Okay. So what we're going to control is, in fact, we don't going to control that term. Okay, this is given by, it depends on the weather condition. And this part is given by my own consumption, and then I'm going to choose, in fact, that term or that term here. Okay. So now, if we want to be a bit realistic, we can find some equation to describe what is the rate of charging or discharging the battery. So according to the power you can take from the battery. So typically, there's some literature in that direction. I'm not going to enter too much in this, but essentially, you can model the process of charging and discharging the battery by the following thing. You can rely on a control, so like a button you act on. The control will be positive when you're going to charge, when you're going to discharge the battery. Okay. So when the P-bat is positive, it may correspond to U positive. Okay. And the amount of power you're going to take depends much on the state of charge of your battery. Okay? It is full or empty, then the power you can take depends on the state of charge of the battery. Okay? And the evolution of the state of charge depends also on the way you're going to control, we're going to use the control. Okay? So you have some equations here. You can linearize the equation, but in general, these are not linear equations. Last ingredients. So first ingredient is the optimization criterion. Second one, the building consumption. Third one, the modeling the use of the battery. Last one is how to model the irradiance. So in fact, this is a quite complex problem. Here, what we like to have is not a deterministic scenario for the irradiance, but rather something stochastic. So in a way, we like to perform a dynamic programming equation, simulate the model, simulate many scenarios, and optimize over the scenario. So we like to have a way to simulate irradiance scenario. So in fact, modeling irradiance, so this is the amount of energy power you can take on a given area, okay, depend much on the size of the area you're going to consider. So typically, here this is the global irradiance collected on a very local point. So you see the fluctuations are very large over the day. If you aggregate this irradiance over a big area, like Brussels here, you see this is a much smoother curve. And also, the way you can model the irradiance depends also much on your ability to account for forecast. And the forecast depends on your capacity to measure the weather condition. So typically, if you just consider local observations, so that is just sky cameras, for example, what you can do is you can predict at a very low scale, time scale. So every 10 minutes you can predict something, but this is very uncertain. You just have a local picture of your weather conditions, so it's not that good. You can rely also on satellite data, but okay, it is more expensive to have access to that amount of data. Also, you can rely on just Météo France in France forecast. And so this is what we're going to use here. So these forecasts typically are produced every 6 hours. And so we'd like to incorporate this forecast in our model. But in all these pictures, in fact, what you can have is only a single forecast, a single curve for the day. And here we like to have a full probabilistic forecast, so many possible scenarios for tomorrow. So we're going to proceed. So typically here, this is the point where we're going to collect the data. So this is on the Polytechnic campus here. So you see the curve for irradiance over the year. So you see there are many fluctuations. It is not like in Rio, I presume. So when you ask to Météo France what are the forecasts for tomorrow, typically, so you sit on the day before, so D-1, the amount, So the type of forecast they can produce depends on, so there are several meteorological model, weather model, okay? And typically they can produce this kind of curve, okay? So here I think in dash point this is correspond to forecast, and here the measurements is in this orange curve. This curve here is the maximal irradiance you can have over the day. So this is the clear sky model. So you can imagine a cloudless sky. Then you can this is the amount of irradiance you can collect ideally. So you have many curves, many forecasts, several forecasts you can use, and here we're going to use one of these curves here. So this curve, in fact, we look at this curve as a medium scenario for the weather tomorrow, in fact. Okay. So then we like to produce a stochastic model, so like a stochastic differential equation, quite convenient to use in stochastic control problems. And we like to this stochastic differential equation to be related to the irradiance during the day. We like to normalize this irradiance by the clear sky model, so this black curve here. Okay. So what we're going to model is in fact the ratio between the true irradiance and the clear sky model. So what we're going to model in fact is the clear sky index. So this is the ratio between the irradiance and that maximal irradiance I can have over the day. So this curve is this function is explicitly known. This is produced by some physical experimentation, and you can tune all these parameters. It depends on the day of the year, on the zenith angle here. Everything is known. Okay. So what we're going to produce is in fact a model for this clear sky CSI process here. Of course, this is something between 0 and 1. How to use this Météo France forecast? In fact, for us, the Météo France forecast stands for, in fact, the medium scenario. So what we can expect from the clear sky index. So this forecast will define us in a way an average for the stochastic model. And of course, when you look at that constraint, if you think what kind of stochastic model I can put to produce something between 0 and 1, you can, it's easy to guess that you can use type SD of Fisher-White, typically from dynamic of population. So typically, this is the model we're going to consider. So we're going to model the fluctuation in irradiance as a solution to a stochastic differential equation of this type. So here, this medium term corresponds to the forecast to the average of the irradiance. So this is computing using the forecast. We'd like to have something between 0 and 1, so we're going to impose the volatility, the field diffusion term to be 0 at 0 and 0 at 1. So that's why we impose this. We impose that the diffusion coefficient is going to vanish at the boundary of the interval with some coefficient between 1/2 and 1, just to maintain that we have a strong solution to the system, to the equation. The parameter A will describe how fast we go back to the medium scenario. And when we have estimated this parameter from the data, we have, so we can estimate this from the autocorrelogram. So we can measure indeed that it is quite well fitted by an exponential curve, so corresponding to something like 1 hour and 20 minutes for the typical time for decorrelation. Now we have to tune sigma, alpha, and beta. So the way we're going to proceed, you could, of course, think that you could run a maximum likelihood estimation procedure over all the data, but it's a bit complex, and also we like to have alpha and beta. It's hard to believe that we could get a single alpha, a single beta, and a single sigma for all the days of the year. So our choice is rather to assume that we're going to fix alpha and beta to be the same for every day, and the sigma will depend on the day of the year, okay? And the sigma will be computing according to the forecast we're going to have. So this is the general form for the irradiance for one day. The alpha is the same for every day. The A is the same for every day. The alpha, the beta are the same for every day of the year. But the sigma here will be dependent on the day and computing according to the forecast. So the way we compute these parameters, first we compute some volatility estimator for identifying the volatility of the day. Here, according to some manipulation, we fix alpha and beta to be equal roughly to 0.8, 0.7. I'm not going to detail how we obtain these values. And then the volatility of the day, in a way, we're going to relate this volatility of the irradiance to the fluctuation in the forecast in a way. So we're going to compute the increments of irradiance, renormalized irradiance over the day, renormalized irradiance on the forecast, sorry, okay. It gives us something, and we're going to connect this volatility over the day to this average time increment of CSI. And what we can see is that there's almost a linear relation between this volatility, computing on measurements, and this index computed on the forecast. And so this is the model we're going to consider. The error here is Gaussian, and we're going to neglect that part for that model. So this is a way to tune all the parameters of the model. So in that way, what we have at the end is that for every day, we collect the forecast for the next day, so we can compute this. The alpha and the beta are computing for all the days, and then we identify the volatility for the next day according to that formula using the forecast computed at the day before. So it gives us a probabilistic model available for the next day. So I can show you typically some possible realization or experiment to simulation of this model. So typically here I'm sitting on the 24th of October for this year. I'm going to collect the forecast the day before. With that forecast, I'm going to calibrate all the parameters. Then I'm going to simulate. I can simulate, for example, many sample paths of my SDE. Okay, I can compute, for example, a confidence interval at some confidence level here. This is the clear sky model, so the maximal irradiance I can have. Here, this is the let me see. Here, this is the forecast. So this I'm going to consider this is the mean scenario. And in fact, here is typically a simulation, a possible simulation. And in fact, the true measurement is that curve. So you see this is quite realistic as a probabilistic model. And here, this is another plot where we plot the cumulative irradiance over the day using the model, the probabilistic model, and the measurements. So here, this is these plots correspond to the probabilistic simulation. The forecast value is in blue, and the measurement is in red here. And you see this is quite realistic and reliable. Okay, so this is the same for another day of the year and so on. So usually it is quite accurate. Well, quite as a probabilistic model, it is quite reasonable. Okay, so now I have a probabilistic model just to simulate all the uncertain quantities. So consumption, this is mean reverting jump processes with mean reversion. Solar energy, this is described by SDE of the type I've shown before. And now we like to optimize. So we have a control of the form. We like to optimize the expected criterion, expected cost, with a function, a running cost, which is a function of the control, the state process, which correspond to both the battery and the load I need, okay, plus something related to some moments of the system. So these moments here corresponds to, typically, if I go back to the initial model, I'd like to, in a way, rewrite everything here as a single expectation, but of course, since it's going to incorporate the variance term, I'm going to write here as an expectation something related to a function of the expectation of the system. So written in a general form, it is of this, well, it takes this form here, plus a final cost here. And I'd like to optimize over any controls on my battery. Okay, so the way we proceed is to use Pontryagin stochastic maximum principle. So there's another approach developed recently by UNFAM using a dynamic programming principle, but here using first order optimality condition, we can find the optimal control and solve the problem. So this is the way we're going to, this is the path we're going to follow here. So what is the Pontryagin strategy? Is first you look at this criterion. It depends on the control U here. The state space for the control is convex. So you're going to consider linear perturbation, convex perturbation of the control here, and write some first order condition to ensure that if the control is optimal, then the gradient of this functional must be 0. So you obtain a first equation. This equation is related to a backward stochastic differential equation. So you'd like to know when this backward stochastic differential equation is well posed. So here we obtain Makin forward-backward stochastic differential equation. So we like to know, okay, are we sure that there are a unique solution to this? And then, once we have a candidate for optimality, when we know that the acid solution for the adjoint is well posed, then we add some extra condition to show that indeed the candidate for optimality is indeed the optimal control. And for this, usually you add a convexity condition. Okay, so the first part is on necessary conditions. So that is, we're going to differentiate the functional according to a perturbation of the control. So we start with the control U. We perturb the control by V, epsilon V, and we take the derivative as the perturbation goes to 0. And to write the gradient here, we need an adjoint process here, which is a solution to a backward equation. So this is quite standard in the standard connection between stochastic control and backward equation here. This notation, psi soc, g soc, and so on, this is it's just the partial derivative of the function L, G, and so on, respect to the soc variable, typically. Okay, so I have a linear backward stochastic differential equation. Here, I don't want to write the form of this martingale term. We know that possibly there are some jumps, so this is just a martingale term arising from martingale representation, but it's not necessarily a Brennan stochastic integral here. And if I'm given the solution to that equation, then I can write the first order condition, the gradient of my functional here. And so, of course, if the control is optimal, then I should have that equation, that term, in bracket here equal to 0. So it gives me a necessary condition for optimality. I must have that quantity equal to 0. So it gives a way to connect the control, the optimal control, and the evolution of the adjoint equation. Yeah. The second step is to solve these this equation. So here you see that I have a backward equation here plus a constraint here. So usually it takes that form. Okay. Here I write it in the condition expedition form. And then what we do is we can show that for some technical condition, there's indeed a unique solution to these nonlinear equations related to the control and the adjustment equation. And in the case of linear quadratic problems, in fact, the solution to the equation is just related to linear BSDE and solving ordinary equations of Riccati type. So we can find an explicit solution in that case. Otherwise, we need some numerical method, but this is not really so far. And last argument, so we have identified a candidate for optimality. We prove that indeed the control plus the adjustment equation has a solution. We want to state that some Hamiltonian is convex, just to show that indeed the candidate for optimality is indeed the optimal control. So the condition we are going to require is that the terminal cos is convex. So this is the usual condition. What is new here is that we are going to ask to require that the Hamiltonian of the system is convex, but not pathwise, but in expedition. So usually, if you are familiar with that kind of problem, usually you ask that the running cost plus the contribution plus the adjoint variables times the drift of your equation plus possibly some extra term is going to be convex, but without the expedition here. But if you think about the problem, if you remove the expedition, it cannot be satisfied, in fact. So really, the appropriate Hamiltonian is not a pathwise Hamiltonian, but something in expedition here. This is to account for the fact that we also control the distribution of the control. We also optimize the distribution of the control. If you optimized only the state, the distribution of the state, then you retrieve the usual Hamiltonian, and this is done in the papers by Carmona, Delarue, and other people. So here we need this condition, and in fact, this convexity condition is satisfied in our model of microgrid. So I have 5 minutes. Okay. So just a few plots just to show how it works in practice, how it practices in theory, in this theoretical model. So here we just compute the solution in a linear quadratic case. The general case, we need some extra numerical methods. Okay. So here this is the sample path of the system without battery and with battery. Okay. So you see that here typically the green curve corresponds to the power from the public grid, and you see that indeed we have many fluctuations of this consumption on the public grid. Okay. And when you use cleverly the battery, you see that in fact the amount of electricity you need is much more stable here. So this is the benefit of using smartly this battery. And if you compute the variance over the day, typically the variance of the power on the public grid is at that level, typically, so around between 8 and 9, while in the case where we use the battery, you see that we have divided by the variance by a factor 4. So this is just the translation, the statistical translation of what we have seen on a single path here. You see that here we have many fluctuations. Here the fluctuations are very small. Here. So the variance is higher here than here. This is quite obvious. Okay, so now just to conclude perhaps, the aim of my talk was to give you, to share a point of view how to model a problem of microgrid management. Okay, So in our economic criterion, we like to optimize over the variability on the public grid, but we could consider, I think, other interesting criterion. What we have developed is a model for probabilistic scenarios of irradiance, which was not so well developed so far. Okay, and we find a solution to this Makin stochastic control using Pontryagin principle, giving rise to a slightly new Makin type forward FBSD. So what we are doing now is we are investigating a numerical solution, numerical method for the general case where we are beyond the case of linear quadratic problem. And there's a big project in Paris about the renovation of a luxury hotel in Montparnasse. This is the Pullman Hotel. So the hotel is closed for 3 years, and so they plan to equip the hotel with smart sensors just to better monitor the need of energy. In fact, they would like to use this kind of methods just to better manage their building. So, of course, here there's no solar panels on the hotel. In fact, they use and there's no battery. In fact, they use hot water and cold water just to as a device for storing the energy. But this is the same. There's some similar issue compared to the previous case here. Okay, thank you.